Hello, Divine Collective. It's Kayla, okay, the Divine Healer, okay, and today I want to talk about being real with yourself, okay, and this can be a difficult topic because a lot of times we don't sit with ourselves, we don't reflect on our decisions, things that we said, things that we've done to other people, things that we've even said to other people, and it's kind of difficult when all of our time is being occupied too as well. Like, literally, we work for 8 hours, we sleep for 8 hours. That's 16 hours out of 24 hours? That's already gone, okay? Plus, you got to get to work. Plus, you got to eat. Plus, you got to take care of kids. You got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do that. Like, literally, there is no mental time for you to focus on yourself and reflect on yourself. But that's why it's so important to create that time. And if you really want change in your life, you'll find time and you'll make time, okay? And if you think, oh, I can't, that limiting mindset, of course you can't, because you think that you can't, but if you can make time for other things like working, and I understand, yes, we have to pay bills and but if you can make time to do that, you can make some time for yourself. It could be you make that time on the way to work, okay? Say your affirmations, think about certain things on the way to work, leaving work. You know what I mean? On your day off, maybe give yourself an hour of time where you are just present, where you are just sitting with yourself, sitting with your mind. But it's very important to be real with yourself and hold yourself accountable. And that can also be very difficult too, because a lot of times, like, I don't want to say that I did this wrong. I don't want to say that I could have did this better. I could have did this differently. But being real creates real reality. It creates real experiences. So like, when you are not being true to yourself, when you are lying to yourself, your whole life is going to be a lie, okay? Because you're not being authentic. You're not bringing in authentic experiences. Why? Because you're not being authentic. So that's why it's so important to be real with you and yourself. But I always say that when you're being real, right, or when you're putting yourself first, as long as it's not at the detriment of somebody else or even yourself, then it is okay. It's okay. It's okay. But you should not be putting somebody else down or making somebody else or feel like you're better or no, because at the end of the day, nobody's better. I'm not better than nobody else. I'm only better than the old version of Kayla. Okay? The only person that I compare to is my old self and my future higher self. That's it. I don't compare myself to nobody, because we're all living our own separate journeys. We're all living a different life. So like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and put somebody else down because of the way that they're doing things. At the end of the day, thou shalt not judge. Okay, people tend to forget that. Thou shalt not judge. So I'm not judging nobody else, okay? So I'm just focused on Kayla and what Kayla's doing. And also, like, I have to be very real with myself. And when I say being real with yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean being negative, like, why do you do this? Why do you say that? Yes, it can be that, but it's also like, why am I accepting certain things? Like, why am I accepting certain behaviors from romantic relationships, from friendships and stuff like that too as well? That's also something that you could sit and reflect with, Say you had a friend that just did you so dirty, and I have 2 or 3 of those people that I could think of, and literally, instead of me thinking, why are they like this, I'm thinking, why did I accept this? When did I know and when did I see that they were this type of person, and when did I choose to just brush it off and accept them for who they are, or even like what I think they can be? And that's something that I do a lot, okay, or used to do a lot, but now I don't do that no more, okay? I'm taking you for what you show me and what you give me, not what you can be. Because at the end of the day, we're going off of now. We're going off of now, because they might not be that person for another 2-3 years. Okay, and you're gonna wait and you're gonna deal with it till then? No. Okay, so that's why it's very, very important to be real with yourself, because a lot of times life is a reflection, not a window. Okay, so for example, right, I had a friend that I was very cool with. We're very cool, but there have been multiple times throughout our whole friendship, even in the first month of our friendship, where they have done things that was very questionable that I personally would not have done. Okay? But at the end of the day, I understand that we are different people. We grew up different. We just have different mindsets, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being around people that are different from me, but not when the person is being rude or being negative or in a secret competition, because that's not how it should be. Well, I'm not competing with nobody. So why are you trying to sit here and compete with me? And then also I had to think about, why am I accepting this person into my life when they have blatantly showed me multiple times that they don't value me in the way that I want to be valued. They don't value me until I leave, or they don't want to, or they probably always do see your value, but they don't want to show it to you. They will end up looking at themselves more and realizing, dang, I don't have that much value, because look at how much value she's holding herself to. You know what I mean? And then a lot of times they project those negative feelings onto you, or they talk behind your back, or they do this and they do that. But it's like, why? And that is something that we will never understand and we will never get, which is why we have to reflect on ourselves. Like, why was I accepting that behavior? Numerous times. Why didn't I speak up at the time when something was bothering me? Why did I just let it go? And that's something that we really have to think about and sit with. Why are we accepting these behaviors? Why are we allowing people to do certain things to us and stick around? So being real with yourself doesn't always mean that you're like, why am I always da 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 da? It's also like, why am I accepting these certain behaviors from other people? Am I giving this behavior out to other people? Like, is this what I'm exuding and that's why I'm receiving it back? Because I need to reflect on myself. So that's why it's very important to take time to sit with yourself. It is important to take time to sit with your thoughts, your mind, and your feelings. That is extremely important. And sometimes it's very difficult to sit there and pinpoint certain things. So a lot of times I like to write things out. I think about a situation that I have felt not at ease, or I felt like, negative or heavy or something like that, and I write. And as you write, it's like things just continue to just flow out, right? And you're thinking, you're processing. That's how you get that process of being real with yourself and reflecting and figuring out the root of it too as well, by writing it, by thinking about it, figuring out where it starts. You know what I mean? And that is so important. That is so important for your growth. Okay. And I always say to be real, right? Be authentic, express how you feel, because if you don't, you're going to, remember I said life is a mirror. You're going to attract people that also are fake, that also aren't real, and then you're going to be like, why are they treating me this way? Why are they doing me this way? Well, you're not being yourself. So why do you expect them to be themselves? You know what I'm saying? So you have to be real with yourself and what you really want. What you deserve too as well. Like, that's completely different. What you want and what you deserve, okay? And figure out what you deserve. And then also, don't accept what you do not deserve. When you accept what you do not deserve, that's letting the universe, that's letting God, that's letting your ancestors, whoever you believe in, know that this is what I equate myself to. Okay. But yeah, I want somebody that's loyal. I want somebody that's going to buy me flowers and buy me this and do me that. But I'm not going to continue to talk to somebody or be with somebody that's entertaining multiple people, because that's not what I want, or that's not what I deserve. So once I cut that person off, boom, then it's the next person. And they're just a little different. Just a little different. But what I was looking for originally is not a problem. They are loyal. Okay. But now it's like, I want more time, or you know what I mean? But don't settle for something that you know that you don't deserve, because that's letting you know and letting God know that this is what I'm going to accept. Okay. Hold yourself to a higher standard, okay? Because you deserve anything and everything that you want and that you desire. But you have to know that you deserve it first. You have to put yourself in situations where you're around like-minded people, but if you're around people, say you have all these goals and aspirations, and you're around people that have no goals, no aspirations, or anything in life, are you around the right people? No. So don't expect yourself to grow or anything like that when you're around people that don't want to grow. You know what I'm saying? So, yes. So I encourage you to be real with yourself, sit with your feelings, sit with your emotions, and pick apart certain things and try to figure out what the root is. Once you figure out that root and pull that root up, nothing else can grow in its place, because that root is gone. But if you just see a flower, you just cut the flower, then eventually something else is going to grow, because that root is still there. So it's very important to figure out what that root is, so that you can change and that you can start reflecting it differently in your life. Because you deserve the life that you want and that you desire. Like, you really do. So I'm here to help you, guide you, encourage you down that path, because you got it. We can all have the life that we deserve, but we also need to stop accepting things that we know that we don't deserve, because that's only shortchanging yourself, okay? And you are worth way more than what you're trying to give yourself. I know it. So give yourself a little bit more, okay? And if you haven't already, definitely subscribe to my channel and watch all the different videos I be talking about. They're kind of like a mix of spiritual, psychology too as well. I got my undergrad in psychology. I'm getting my master's now in education. So kind of coincides. But yes, definitely subscribe to as well, because Kayla's about to turn it up a notch. So bye, Divine Collective. I'll see y'all next time.